Okay, now the third job is quite important, and that's with your volume and tone knobs. If you notice one's getting loose like this, as compared to this, you definitely want to get this taken care of. If this gets too loose, and over time, it'll start stripping around and then it'll break the wires that are inside. Once that happens, you could be shorting out or have grounding problems, or your guitar is just not going to sound good anymore. So let's go ahead and fix this. If you're removing the strings, then you could pull the pick guard directly off, and then you can get everything nice and easy, get it all tightened up and how you like it. But if your strings aren't very old and you just want to tighten this up, I'm going to show you how to tighten that up without removing anything. So the first thing we want to do is remove this tone knob. We'll just pull it off like that. Now you can see it's really, really loose on there. We're not going to back this nut off, because if we do, it's going to go down inside, and then we have to take the strings off to get to it. So we'll just try not to let that come loose at all. So what we want to do here is we're going to move it all the way to the left. And hopefully it's got a little slot like this. You can see a little slot in the middle right here. So what I'm going to do is take a screwdriver and I'm going to put it in that slot and just hold it to the left. I'm not going to crank it or anything, I just want to hold it. And then I'm going to take my little guitar repair nut driving tool here and just go on there, and because I'm holding this way and I'm tightening this way, it'll tighten right up. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll put a flathead bit in my screwdriver here. I don't want to scratch the paint, so we'll just be careful putting this on. So just rest it on there, go all the way to the left, and take your tool. One way is for tightening, the other way is for loosening, so we'll just see which side works. So you just hold it there and tighten it as you go. Once you start feeling resistance, you can stop, because you don't want to crank on it too hard. It's just holding on by plastic, so you don't need much. Now look at that, super tight. So that was super easy. Now what you do is, while you're at it, pull your other knobs off. This is a good time to clean up your gunk under here, so we'll get our wet towel out here again and just give it a little wipe down. Okay, it's looking a lot better. So now we'll put on our volume and tone knobs, and you can see these little scrapes right here. They're all around. That's because they were pushed down too hard during the last installation, and sometimes these get a little bit loose right here because of that slot in there. They get pinched together. So what you can do is just take your screwdriver. You don't want to go too crazy. If you really crank on it, then it will break the tongue right off. But you can just kind of spread just a little bit on each one of these. Like I say, you don't want to go too hard. You don't want to be stripping it around and breaking those wires inside, but just a little tiny amount here, just to get it spread open a bit. I'll move them all up. And how I like to set mine is I like to read my numbers from the top. So I put the 10 to the top, so when I turn it down, it shows what number I'm on. So I'll line them all up to 10. See, and this is where we really want to make sure that we're not like too pressed down onto it. And we'll also make sure they're pretty close to being the same. I think this one could move over just a bit. See, by spreading that, it made it quite a bit tighter. So let's put that on there. Right about there. I just want to make sure that I leave that little gap under there. Doesn't need to be much, just enough that it's not touching the plastic. Okay, there. So we've now fixed our final thing. She's all tightened up and ready to go, so this guitar should be good to keep rocking for quite a while. Next time when I take the strings off and tighten up all the screws, I'll be sure to look into all these little problems and any other thing that could get loosened up. If you have any of these problems with your guitar, I highly suggest you just stop what you're doing, go ahead, tighten them all up, and then you don't have to think or worry about it, and you won't have any catastrophic problems right when you don't want them to. I did just notice that I've got a tone volume, so let's swap that out real fast. Okay, so we got our Strat all tightened up. We've got our volume and tone pots all tightened up. We've fixed our loose input, it's good and tight, and we've got our Strat buttons all tightened up. So we're good to keep rocking for a while to go.